Welcome to Engineering Culture, where we discuss how to build a culture through teamwork, accountability, and competitive greatness with thought leaders, that is coaches, superintendents, principals, all of those things. We are Engineering Culture. Here with the latest episode of Engineering Culture, Mike Sautter with Kuhn, Omaha Supernovas head volleyball coach. Coach, thank you for joining me. Thank you for your time.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
It's gonna be
fun. I think maybe. We'll get some serious and some fun. Is how I like to do this. But
okay.
Let's just start. Define culture for me.
Culture to me has been the environment that's created. But it's always going to be based on the people that are within that environment. So each season, being a coach, every season's different. You can set a culture with the fundamental people like on a staff and players that have gone through a program. And so that culture might live in the program, but that changes a little bit with all the new pieces. So culture to me is the environment that is created by the people within that team, that organization, whatever culture, wherever you're at.
Your environment, if you will, is pretty competitive. There's nothing guaranteed.
Correct. I mean, I would say athletics is a competitive nature. Mm-hmm. And then within that environment, you have to have some type of intangibles. Like there has to be a human aspect because we're all mm-hmm. personal and human. But yes, at some point it's always competitive and has that dynamic.
How do you build relationships in such a competitive environment?
That's the vulnerability.
Without it cracking, right?
Correct. That's the vulnerability. That's like knowing everyone as a human. Mm-hmm. And so as a coach, I think that's a fine line, and that's where obviously there are emotions. It can seem personal. Those are tough conversations. You have to be willing to have the tough conversations. And also as coaches and as players, there's some level of understanding, whether it ever is reached to the pinnacle, that's person to person. Mm-hmm. But there is a level of understanding and clarity that you can just provide, and then it lives where it lives.
Your motor never stops. Where does that come from?
The way I was raised, I would believe. I mean, I think it's habits, it's behaviors and habits, and that still takes a consistency, but I do think it's how you just become wired. Like if you do something for so long, mm-hmm. I mean, it is innately how you're wired. Like on a day off, you're like, ah, yeah. What am I forgetting to do? So yeah, I mean, I think it's just kind of embedded in how you function and how you live day to day.
Okay, I read your Texas A&M bio.
Okay.
And in it I learned a new word. So, indelible impact.
Oh wow, okay.
Is a word that they use to describe your impact on teams, which indelible is just one that can't be removed.
Right, that's a marker. That's an indelible marker.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So why do you think you fit that kind of definition?
Well, whoever wrote that and chose that word, I appreciate that person. I would say it's probably the relationships that I've built. Through my career, everyone that knows me knows in the coaching world, in the volleyball community, I'm here for the sport and I'm here for the players. Like the people are what have drawn me to every place I've coached and been from the very beginning.
Right.
But that started with my career, like where I played, the environment I played in, and those coaches, and then probably even growing up as a coach's kid. Mm-hmm. Like my dad was my basketball coach, so it was just in our house, in our blood. But I also think there is an authenticity to how you take care of people. Mm-hmm. And so for me, that's what this has been all about.
There were challenges in year one for the Supernovas, like a lot, right?
For
like
sure.
You take over kind of like out of the blue as the head coach from the coach that coached you, right? And like a really good relationship.
Yes.
How hard were those challenges and how did you get through them?
I think navigating challenges, number one, whether it's someone you know, you're that close with, you have that relationship, it's still the conversations. Mm-hmm. It's being able to sit in a room, sit in a spot, sit in a space and have a conversation to do your best to navigate the situation you're in. And that's what it all came down to. Mm-hmm. Even with the team, even with the organization, with all of the communication that was had was very direct and you were in the room for it.
Adult conversations get you through, hard times get you through because you're willing to have an adult conversation.
Yes.
Yeah. How do you follow up a championship with expectations of another one? when rosters change so much, and like how we look in year 2 right now, and what are the challenges to follow that up?
I think it's the same. You have some experience to build on, and you acknowledge that, but then you turn the page. So basically, you've acknowledged it, whether it's everyone walks in, you acknowledge it with Doc Woodman, like our sports psychologist, or I acknowledge it, and then you move on. Because my line to this group now is, we're creating this together. Last year it was, we're in this together. It was the first season. There were challenges across the boards, whether it was within the organization, our team, the whole league, how we were functioning, how things were flowing. But now it's, we're creating this together. Because creating something is new this year. Just like you asked about culture. Yes, that last year we had a culture. There is inevitably going to be a culture because I'm still here.
Right.
And so it's kind of that personality that I have. But also now there's like 16 new pieces.
That's right.
Then they're all new, whether they were here or not, because they're new together.
Right.
And so now we're creating something together that will be inevitably the expectation to win a championship.
Yeah. What makes Omaha and Nebraska such a good volleyball city and state? What is it about?
The people. And this is what's so, the irony or the authenticity of it is that I am always people. I've been, my resume, the first line is why, like when I first started coaching in 2008 or something, what is my philosophy? To impact women now to be the best version of themselves as volleyball players and people. But people have always been what would have driven me to make a change in a job or coaching like this, like coming here. It was people that brought me here. It was Shelton. It was then meeting Diane. Now I'm working with Diane and Grant and Thomas and Becca and all of the people with the Supernovas. Like the people are what drive me. And so those relationships and connections, but that's Omaha. Right when you were asking the question, I'm like, well, if you see our social media, our first open practice. 1,200 fans,
people,
and it felt like we were just in a living room. See, now, I love those atmospheres because I walk in and I turn on, I say it's camp mode, but I'm like, oh yeah, I'll wear a microphone, and then I was like turning it on and off, like the refs do in football, and I was like, all right, because they start yelling at Thomas for bad calls and stuff, but like that atmosphere to me is so awesome because those people have never been able to be in our gym during a practice, and they're getting to meet this new team. It was awesome, the vendors, but that to me, that is a perfect example of Omaha and why it's so special here.
Okay, now it's time to maybe have a little fun here. So you're from Tiffin, Ohio. For people that don't know, that's northwest Ohio, like basically Toledo, right?
Yeah, it's huge. Just a huge
town.
It's a town, people, not a city. It's a town for a reason.
Town versus city.
Yeah.
So your favorite ride at Cedar Point?
Oh my God, I love that you're bringing this. I tell the teams that everywhere I've coached, like they talk about Six Flags and all this, and I'm like,
oh, that's nothing.
Cedar Point is America's roller coaster, first of all. My favorite ride, I'm gonna go, first of all, the Magnum. I hope they never take it down. It's still scary. The hill is 200 feet, it's whatever. So that was like when I was little, that was brand new. That was the scariest one. But now it's the one that's in the back, and my cousins are gonna be so mad at me for not something iron. It was the Mean Streak, and then they upgraded it. You don't even know. It's okay. It's in the back. I remember it. That's the most recent one.
Okay.
It's so good.
That's your favorite one?
It's all wood. It's wooden.
Wow.
It's the fastest, tallest wooden roller coaster.
Fastest, tallest
You guys
wooden
didn't know
roller
that
coaster.
this is about to happen.
Cedar
for you.
Point is like, where's Cedar Point? It's right on the lake, basically.
Upper
right?
Sandusky. It's in Sandusky, but it's not upper. Yeah, it's in Sandusky.
It's
also connected to Tommy Boy. Like, don't get me started.
It's very much so an Ohio thing.
Yeah. Everybody go to Cedar Point. Check it out.
Your favorite, of these places that you've been, Tiffin, Atlanta, Boone, Miami, Lawrence, College Station, or Omaha?
Oh, why are you going to ask me this on this stage? What? But I did like the order of that. Wow, I forgot about Boone.
Your career,
Boone was
right?
epic. Boone was epic.
It's at Appalachia.
Tiffin is obviously home.
Right.
I love Tiffin. The odds of me ever living in Tiffany are
probably not good.
Zero. Zero. Love Tiffin. I love Omaha, but I'm sticking with Lawrence.
Oh, really?
Lawrence is my.
You had a lot of success in
Lawrence is like my heart. I love Kansas. I love Lawrence. I feel like I became an adult there.
Right.
And there's a group of people that, like former players and then their husbands, spouses, whoever, that we're all very close still. Yeah. And so I feel like Lawrence has kind of become a new, like, roots for me.
Yeah.
Which is cool because it's so close to this. And that's also, I think, it's Midwest, it's Central America. Central America, well, you know.
Middle of America.
Middle of America.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah, that's. I remember when I took the job in Kansas and I was leaving Miami. I'm like, who does this? I looked at the map. I'm leaving the water. I love the water, and I'm moving back to the cold.
Yeah.
Nice.
In Lawrence, though, like that was the springboard for you to get your head coaching job at Texas A&M. Mm-hmm. Outside of the people and whatever, I mean, you had a ton of success there.
Yes.
Ranked third, I think, right? Like highest ranking ever.
Had ever given point,
like won a bunch.
Made the Final Four.
Right. Kansas isn't a volleyball school.
No, it's definitely more of a basketball school.
You think? Just a little
trickling into football, guys.
Yeah. Oh, but like, what made it? I mean, you were on the staff, but what made it such a special kind of run there?
Well, Coach B, first of all.
Right.
He is just retiring. Obviously, he'd been there 27 years. But the way his ability to just be like so even keel and calm, and I would think about it all the time because I think people balance each other. Right. And so I would always be like, talk about epic conversations. But our relationship, I will call him like daily now. And he is a huge part of it. But the place, and there's a t-shirt that I still have, and it says on the back, places don't make it great, people do. Or something like that. People make places great. It's something, and there's like a little heart on the front. But that was a shirt I got at Kansas, and it's so true because it's all the people there. I mean, it is the people that make that place great. And the one thing I will say why is because in athletics, aside from football, they have their own complex. Right. All of us work in the same hallway. Right. It's this L-shaped hallway, and you walk and you live within all the coaches every day. Yeah. And that's what makes it special because you're all in it together. It gives it this feel where you're having those conversations, you're in it together, and it's not just you as volleyball, it's that place. So it's pretty cool.
Who do you take your inspiration from?
I don't think there's one person. Again, I would go back, it's to the way I was raised. So it's like between being a basketball family, being obsessed with Michael Jordan. Yeah. So it's like
I was in that era, yeah. Uh-huh.
It is like a balance of, like, my dad was a basketball coach, so I think there was like an intensity about obviously our relationship, and then loving that sport, becoming a collegiate volleyball player, and then like my coaches like bond. I think that just making all of it, I think what inspires me is making the people around me proud and doing what I do for the team that I'm working with. And you have to. Like, you could say family, you could say all these people that like have influenced but at the end of the day, every day when I get up and work out in the morning or have to make decisions or am thinking about the starting lineup or whatever's gonna happen, I'm doing it for those people. But I say it before every match. I would say to A&M, my favorite part of this is on game days, we're untouchable. Like, once like the pregame meal happens and forward, like, we are untouchable because no one's gonna, and if they do, then they obviously don't get it. So like, I get to put my phone down and I'm not with it for probably 3 to 4 hours. Yeah. Boom. We're untouchable. We're here and we're the ones doing this.
In the moment.
Yes. Yeah. That's I think what really inspires me, like to just be all in right then.
Supernovas, I guess we want to talk about one, the fan base I took my kids to games last year. They loved it. They made signs. Like, I have 2 young daughters and they are like, they were so happy. They're asking like, when do they play again? We want to go, all that. Like, you're building a fan base of young women, little girls, dads, moms, everybody,
super
right?
Fans.
Yeah, super fans. There you go. Why is that so important to just have that kind of culture built and to show people, hey, like, we're putting a good product out, but we want it to be a little more than the product.
Deeper. There's a connection. And I do think that's what makes it cool here. it's so special because it's Nebraska, but now it's like not Lincoln, it's
Right.
Omaha.
Yeah.
And I think that was the vision. Like it needs to be a little different. There needs to be it's pro.
Mm-hmm.
I want to come. I want to go to a match and just sit and experience
Watch,
it
yeah.
because all I hear about, my family comes, my nieces and
Yeah.
nephews, my sister, my friends from Lawrence, and it's like epic. They're like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. And they have like young kids, like 2-year-olds,
Yeah.
and everybody loves it.
Right.
So it's obviously very engaging. Number one, because volleyball is fun, but to do that and start rooting a fan base in our sport, because inevitably all of us within the volleyball community want volleyball to stay. Like we want volleyball to be on this platform and this level, and so we're going to do whatever that takes. And to root it in a place like Omaha with that fan base of there's an eclectic group. I mean, there are like college students, student section, all the way down to, like I said, like 2-year-olds.
Yeah.
That are just like losing their minds. And I'm like, yeah, can I go hang out with those people?
I mean, my daughters are 8 and 5, so they very much so like.
Yes.
Yeah, my daughter. We talked off air. My daughter wears her Supernovas sweatshirt like
Every day.
Pretty much every day, and she wanted to wear it today because I told her I'd be talking to you. So
She should have. I hope she has it on.
she definitely has it on today.
Well, Hurstina, our player from last year, her son,
Yeah,
we call him Venom.
yeah.
He wanted to be a power.
Venom though.
Yeah.
What?
That's one of his favorite characters
Oh,
from
okay. All right.
whatever that is.
I didn't know if there was something else.
No,
Yeah.
he's awesome. But he was like what, three or four?
Yeah.
Wore the same purple with the space guy on it.
Yeah.
I got one of those shirts just to remind myself of him. I love him. But every time he'd wear it, I'd be like, oh my God, he's so cute.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. He wore it every day.
From in the last one here, I guess we'll end on this. From inception, from when this was just like not a dream, but it was kind of a thing. And at the beginning, there were skeptics, like in the local community, even here and across the country, like, oh, this won't work. Like it'll be a flash in the pan. It'll be one of those leagues that just kind of goes away. Why has it worked?
The people. I do believe it's the people. It's the volleyball community. It's special. It's special as in the volleyball community,
Right.
and then this place is special. But obviously we have franchises all over the country.
Right.
And there's always going to be skeptics, right?
Right.
Like anything that happens, and it's never guaranteed.
Right.
Like there's still work to do. We are still growing. There are still challenges. And obviously there's going to be challenges. But if you believe and you get the right people involved, I think anything is possible. Obviously, anything is possible.
Right.
And so that's our goal. Our goal is to continue to grow it and keep getting the people that believe and are going to be doers and make things happen, keep them involved.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach Beard. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
A Hurrdat Sports Network production.